Hello everyone, this is Lucy from Seaside Tarot channel, and I'm popping on to do a tarot tag to Kelly Bear's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 is for tarot decks, 4 is for tarot books, 3 is for tarot spreads, 2 is for tarot paraphernalia, and 1 is a significator for what represents me. Well, at least that's what I'm going to do as my one. So starting with number 5, I think in my last video I mentioned that I collect tarot decks for the countries I've been to. So because Thailand's pretty close to Australia, it's very easy for us to fly there. Being close means it's still an 8-hour trip to get to Thailand, but it's not like going from country to country in Europe or even in America. It's a long way for us to travel anywhere except maybe New Zealand or Fiji. Even so, it's still probably 5-hour trip to Fiji. So that being said, I've been to Thailand a few times now in my lifetime, and so I've got the Siamese Tarot to represent my trip to Thailand. Also have the Royal Thai Tarot, but I didn't bring that out today. And so I'll show you some of the cards from the Siamese Tarot. So this, for me, this represents a lot of the culture of Thailand, or Siamese people. Siam was the name of the country before it became Thailand. Can't remember why it changed its name, but it did. And it's now known as Thailand. And of course, the major religion in Thailand is Buddhism. It's the main religion throughout Southeast Asia, actually. And sarongs are still, there's the hangman. Sarongs are still worn through Thailand because it's so hot. It's easy to wear a sarong. And I've got quite a lot in my cupboard because we wear them around the pool. And there's the sunflowers, aren't they beautiful? So if anybody wants me to do a walkthrough of this deck, happy to do that. You don't see this one very often, so that's why I thought I'd bring it out. Look at the 3 of Cups. Isn't that lovely? And the moon. So that's Thailand. My souvenir from Thailand. Comes with a little white book, and it's created by Shui. It has English above and Thai below. Yeah, so little white book. Let's see, when was it first published? Oh, it doesn't say. There's the website if you're interested. There's the website. Alright, so that was my time in Thailand. Now my time in China, I went hiking in the foothills of the Himalayas in southern China among the Hmong people. And so to represent my time there, I have the Oriental Tarot by Giordano Berti. I have quite a few of his decks. Not all, but I have a few. But this is my most favorite, so I had to bring it out today. So this represents my time. I've only been to southern China. I haven't been to Beijing or Shanghai. Just hiking through the mountains on the border of Laos and Vietnam among people, the flower people, which was an interesting experience because we stayed in their farmhouses on the mountains. Saw fields of marijuana taller than me. Saw villages that keep their animals underneath the house to make it warm in winter. It was interesting. So this is a pip deck, but it's an Italian pip deck, not a Tarot de Marseille pip deck, with Chinaman as the court cards and the majors. The cardstock's beautiful on this. There's the Empress, isn't she lovely? So this is a really nice deck if you like pip decks. The Chariot. La Pape. Le Emperor. The Lovers. So yeah, that was my time in China. I have another Chinese deck here as well. This is this was the Oriental Tarot by Giordano Berti. He wrote a little personalized note, which was nice. It's nice to have. So the other deck that represents China is the Feng Shui Tarot. Feng Shui was very popular in the 80s and 90s, not so much these days, but it was popular then. And this is a vintage deck, 2001 by US Games, and it's by Eileen Connolly and her son Peter Paul Connolly. I think it's Peter Paul Connolly is her son, and it hasn't. It's a little bit different in. I think she changes some of the I think wands and swords are different in this deck. I haven't used it for a long time. So this is my Chinese deck for when I go to Shanghai and Beijing one day. So in the 80s, Feng Shui was very popular. You had to have certain things in corners and crystals in other corners, and bring money, and you had to have a plant at the front door. And I'm not sure if it's popular still, but it was an interesting time. I think I had a rose quartz crystal in one corner. You had to have it in the southwest corner. You had to have something, and then another corner you had to have something else. This was printed in Italy. These are the backs. Look at the moon, isn't that lovely? Judgment, the world. So the suit of the white tiger. This was in order. Suit of the White Tiger, until I haven't used this for a long time. Suit of the Tortoise, the black tortoise. That'd have to be cups, wouldn't it? Don't quote me on that though, I'd have to get the book out. If anyone wants me to walk through this, I'm happy to do that. And Suit of the Phoenix, well that's the Wands. I'm sure it's the Wands. And this tortoise. The last suit is the Suit of the Dragon, the green dragon. So I must play with this. So that is the Feng Shui Tarot by Eileen Connolly and her son Peter Paul Connolly. Alright, so next one, so that's 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is my most precious, Roots of Asia. I studied Tibetan Buddhism for 15 years, and this represents my time with the nuns and the lamas, and this is one of my most precious decks. This is the Roots of Asia by A.T.M. Muller. It was first printed in 2001 again. It's an out of print deck, but you can pick it up secondhand. This is an English version. You can get it in a German version, and the little white book is very good. Has the Buddhist philosophy in it. And there's the mala with the singing bowl. High Priestess. And it's that old cardstock that's a little bit slippery, but it's nice, easy to use, easy to shuffle. So this deck's, I wouldn't give this deck away. This is mine for keeps, because it represents my time studying Buddhist philosophy. The tankinis. So that's the Roots of Asia. That's number 4. Number 4. And number 5, I had several visits to Indonesia, to Bali. Bali is one of 6-hour flight, but it's one of our closest neighbours, Indonesia. And I got a Tarot Nusatani, a Tarot Nusatani deck. Comes with a tarot bag. I think this is version 4. I haven't kept up with all the versions. It came with a little crystal. And on the back is that's the backs. Represents an area within Bali, that particular pattern. And you see all the ornaments dressed up in can't remember the name. Isn't that terrible? Anyway, this is the Tarot Nusatani Tara. And it celebrates the Balinese Hindu culture. Batik. That's right. Couldn't think of the word. Batik. The batik. And each area has its own batik design. Or each family have their own, a bit like the Scottish have their own Celtic design for the kilts. So it's been many years since I've been to Bali, but this brings back memories of my time there. So this is my souvenir of spending. I actually went to Bali in 1976, just after I got married. And then again, when I turned 50, I went to Bali. And saw a big change. When I went in 1976, it was just little villages, country villages and huts, and the beaches were clean. When I went in 1999, 2000, the change was just like night and day. It was just so different. Until you got out into the countryside, and then it was the true Bali again. So this is Tarot Nusantara, and that was my 5th one. So, all right, now one of my books. So I don't read too much these days. My eyes aren't very good for reading, so I've got a pile of books that I want to read, so I'll show those. I couldn't find. The first one is by Nancy Hendrickson, and I had the ancestral book, and it was excellent. I did all the exercises in it, and it helped me to connect to spirit world. It also sent me down a rabbit hole of finding decks that represent my ancestry, which is Welsh, Scottish and Irish. So I now have a collection of Celtic decks and books. And this is her second, the Ancestral Grimoire. So I've yet to read it. Can't tell you whether it's good or not, but it does have a Benebell Wen forward for Nancy. But highly recommend her first book, because I did every exercise, and was very helpful. Very helpful. Second book is by Mary K. Greer, again forward by Benebell Wen. And this book, I have Benebell's Holistic Tarot, but a lot of other people have been producing this. This has been a reprint from this is a 2019 by Wiser Books reprint. And it's a workbook, so I've been meaning to start doing the exercises in this book. So one day I'll get there. I'll do that one. And of course I can't go without mentioning one of my two favorite YouTube channel members. The first one is by Lisa, who is now known by Esther Finkel-Tisman, and she wrote the Mindful Tarot. I haven't read, I started to read it. I haven't finished reading this one yet, but I love watching her on YouTube, and I'm going to participate in her 78 Drop 'em challenge this year with one of my favorite decks of the year. So, and of course Tom Benjamin. This is Tarot on Earth, a practical guide. So this helped me with learning the Tarot de Marseille, and it has lessons and gives an understanding of the pips. So recommend watching Tom on YouTube. So they're my books. All right, so that's number 4. Number 3 is, what was number 3? What was number 3? Got 2. Oh, that's right. Number 3 is tarot spreads. 3 tarot spreads that I like. Well, the first tarot spread was created by Kelly of Truth in Story on YouTube, and you can watch her do a walkthrough of her spread. I'm not sure what she calls it, but it's a 9-card spread, and it has past, present, and future. And above is a message. I say it's a message from Spirit. So let's do an example. So, for instance, you have past. I think that's going to be too big. We'll use the Oriental because it's small. They're small cards. Oh, they're small cards. So you have past, present, and future. And above, what's above? Oh, the devil. The devil. So Spirit's trying to say you're attached to something, or someone's attached to you. Something is a happening from message from Spirit. Below is the issue of the, well, I say it's the issue of the questioning, or what's being questioned. Then you have fire. Oh, that's a bit, I'm not fitting this on very well. So something's falling apart at the moment. And then you have you have fire, water, air, and earth. So a 9-card reading, and you see what each of these elements are suggesting, what's happening, what happened in the past, what's happening in the present, and what's happening in the future. I don't think I like this card. I don't like this particular selection of cards, but isn't the Oriental gorgeous? Ah, cardstock's brilliant. All of Giordano's cardstock is the same. It's lovely, lovely cardstock. Very important for me. Some people say it's not so important, but it is for me. All right, so then there's the Wheel of the Year spread that I shouldn't have put this away. I choose the overarching message for the year. So we'll have the Ten of Wands, And then we'll have, for each month, we'll have January. So 10 of Wands, what's happening in January? So what's a burden in January? What's a burden in February, March, April, and so on. And you go round the clock till you come to December. That's how I do it. Some people will put a significator out as the center card. So you could say your significator might be the page of coins and then what's happening in each of the months. So I'm sure there's plenty of books that have got how to use the Wheel of the Year. So I do that around Christmas time and journal it. So that's my two. But I also have this book here by Sasha Graham, the 365 tarot spreads. So for each day we have a tarot spread, and so you have you guys up north in the northern hemisphere are coming to Beltane crossing over spread. So it'll give you a spread for the 1st of May, because I'm in the southern hemisphere, so the 1st of May is for me. So you'd be the 1st of November, maybe. I don't know when you go into Beltane. So for each of the paranoia spread. So for each of the months you have a different, or each of the days you have a different spread. And I used this book when I was doing a goddess challenge for 21 days. I used the goddess spreads that are in the book. So for any issue that you might have, you will find a spread in that book, guarantee it. All right, number 2. What's 2 paraphernalias, tarot paraphernalia that you might use? And I have these 3 stands, wooden stands. That one came from the Sacred Bee Kickstarter, one came from the James E, his last Kickstarter, successful Kickstarter I should say, and I'm not sure where I got this one from, but it's got the tree and all the phases of the moon on it. So you just put a card in there. Let's just say this is the card that came up for today, and you would put that up on your table. So they're my 3 stands. I do use them occasionally, not very often though. Alright, so that was my first paraphernalia that I wanted to show. And the second paraphernalia is my tarot wraps from Marilyn at Call of the Raven shop on Etsy. And I now have 6 of these lovely spreads. Aren't they gorgeous? I'll just do 2 at a time. So I'm going to use this one for my circle of doors. So thank you, Marilyn. They finally arrived. We had trouble with the shipping twice now. We've had trouble with the shipping to Australia, and Marilyn's had to resend them again. And we don't know what happened to the first lot of packages, but they never turned up. So they're lovely wraps. They've got raw silk inside, and they fit my decks very nicely. This one I'm keeping for the new edition. I think it's the 3rd edition of the Lost Forest Tarot. This one is a unicorn wrap. Isn't it gorgeous? Here's the inside. and there are all the unicorns on it. That'd be a nice spread if I. And you can use these wraps as spreads as well. So if we get these out, so past, present, and future. So I was planning to take my deck in one of these wraps. So that's 3, and I've been using this one, 4, 5, and 6. So all of them will have raw silk inside. Now, the Call of the Raven Etsy shop. Marilyn is located in Spain, so Valencia in Spain, and so it took a while for these to come to my doorstep. So thank you, Marilyn. Thank you. They did arrive, and I really like them. Isn't that lovely? It's got little ravens in there. Very nice, very nice. Now, number one is my Significator. That's what I'm going to use as my number 1. And I'm going to use it. The High Priestess is my Significator, and I'm going to use it from the Muse Tarot. I've got 1,254 of 2,000 decks. This is the indie version with the lovely salmon edging. Isn't she lovely? Bringing down information from above and sharing it out to the world. The energy from above to below. And this is my stalker card. I always get the Empress, the Priestess in a lot of my messages from Spirit, telling me to bring in the energy from above and send it out to all within our beautiful world. So that's my Significator, and thank you for watching, and many blessings from